today is really quick, but we're gonna do two things. The one thing we won't be able to eat for a week because we're gonna use a fermentation crock and learn how to make sauerkraut, so that'll be kind of fun. But the other thing we're gonna do is make sandwiches. And we're making Italian beef sandwiches. Now, let me just tell you that Italian beef sandwiches, the traditional recipe says that you take a beef roast and then you would put all this stuff in it and you would put it in the slow cooker and you let it cook all day and then you shred it up and that's the way you eat it. I don't like that. Okay, so it's kind of like Mexican food versus Tex-Mex. The original Italian recipe was, another way to make a roast, right? But I don't like the way that tastes. And the lady that used to live across the street from us when we lived in League City made it this way, and so this is the way I like it, and so this is the way I make it. Good morning, Peggy. So, this is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need some roast beef. And this is from the deli. It's from the deli, and I got 1.5 pounds because I'm feeding more people. I might should have gotten 2 pounds. I really like this recipe, but 1 pound, 2 pounds of roast beef. Doesn't matter what kind. And I had them slice it to a 2, but however thick or thin you like it. You're gonna need some beef broth. You're gonna need a jar of pepperoncini with the juice. You're gonna need some Italian herbs. So, the blend, Italian herb blend. And then to serve it, hey Deb Corley, good to see you. It probably won't because I'm doing it funky weird. Anyway, and then I've got some, these are rolls. I'm calling them hoagie rolls, but they're kind of different. I actually had the hoagie rolls and they were like $3.69. And then I saw these in the bakery and they were $1. So I put the expensive ones back and I got the ones that were $1. And then you're gonna need some cheese to melt on the top when you're ready to eat. This is just an Italian style shredded cheese, but you can use provolone, you can use mozzarella. Here, I'll be you-know-who. Provolone or mozzarella, but you don't wanna use Parmigiano Reggiano. No, so anyway. All right, so we're gonna start. I'm not doing this in the slow cooker because really it's 30 minutes and you're done. If you did the traditional Italian beef, it is an all-day deal. So I just have a pot. You need it so that, it's kind of deep enough to get all your stuff in there and be covered with what needs to be covered. Okay, so here's my meat. Like I said, 1.5 pounds is what I got. 1.5 pounds, and this is just from the deli department. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look how good that looks. Now, you could put it in just like that, but I don't like big old long pieces. So I'm gonna cut it kind of in short strips. Hello, Deanne, good to see you. The peppers are a good sign. Yeah, well, they are. Hello, Sherilyn, good morning. Hey, Joanne. Hello, Kathy. I see, a lot of people, when they cut themselves using their knives, it's not because their knives are sharp, it's because their knives are dull. And so the best thing, this is called a steel, if you don't have one of these. Obviously, they have those things that you can run it through. I'm always a little nervous because I buy decent knives. I'm a little nervous about that. It's just like a whetstone. And so what you're doing is you're running your blade side down the steel, and it's sharpening it as you go. And then, you want to make sure you do both sides. My dad could do this really fast. He would, right? But I don't necessarily do it as fast. But anyway, there, you can sharpen all your knives. I'm using that cool pot again. I know. Well, it's the Rachel Ray purple ones. Oh, Joanne, thank you for saying that. Cassie, I think Cassie had fun helping out yesterday. Okay, so here's my roast beef, and see how it's across this way? I'm gonna make short strips this way. So I'm gonna cut short strips, and I'm just gonna go across. So now I'm gonna hold it up so you can see. So that's about as wide as I'm gonna do it. And then we'll separate it all out and dump it in our pot, okay? So we're cutting that. I know that normally I have everything cut up, but quite frankly, this is like a 5-minute recipe. You cook it for 30 minutes and you're done. which is why we're gonna learn some stuff about sauerkraut today. So, have any of you had Italian beef sandwiches? Of course, you probably, if you had them, like Peggy says, in Chicago, it's with the actual thing. All right, so I'm just gonna take my fingers and separate this out because it's in clumps from, and some of it will separate with all that liquid. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull it apart so that we've got little strips in here. So good. Oh, and then when we have our juice in here, I don't dip the bread in. I know some people do that. They take the bread and dip it in the juice, like a French dip. I don't like it too wet, but I do like it. I like some of that juice. So I get like a spoon and spoon some on there. You can put any kind of condiment on here you want. If you want some mustard or something like that. I really think that if you put a little of that juice on the bread and then you use, cheese, provolone or mozzarella, with the spices that you have in here, you will be quite happy with all the moisture that you have. Okay, it looks like a ton. So like I said, this is 1.5 pounds. And it looks like it's a whole lot, but we're kind of like meat pigs when it comes to these sandwiches. So it just depends on you. And if you get smaller buns, like these are pretty long. These are like, 5 inches long. If you get the shorter buns, then you get more sandwiches out of this. If my friend Benji's not on, but she has a bunch of boys. If you have a bunch of boys, you might need a lot more meat than this and a bigger pot. But I'm just using the smaller pot. So, the other thing, when the electricity goes off, my ceiling fan goes off. And then to turn it back on, I really need to get up out of bed. Or I need to tell her to turn it on. Except when the electricity goes out, I usually have to reset her. So, okay, that's it. So all my meat is in my pan. Well, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna move this. Oh, there we go. All right, so my meat is in the pan. Now the rest of this is really just dump. I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons, there we go. 2 teaspoons of Italian blend. If you don't have an Italian blend, you certainly could use basil and oregano and garlic. So, wholly up to you. 2 tablespoons. There we go. We're gonna put in, you don't have to, but I'm gonna put in the entire container of pepperoncini because now this says medium heat. They have mild, they have medium, and they have one with a big red, turn away, go back, that says hot. You've never had this dish. Well, it's something new. So, good morning, Pat. Good to see you. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Todd. All right, so we have our roast beef. I have 1.5 pounds of roast beef. I have 2 teaspoons of Italian blend seasonings. And now I'm gonna take juice and all and dump the whole thing in our beef. Oh my goodness. Yum. Yum. So good. So good. All right. So you see the loveliness? Ooh, yummies. Yummies. Okay, I'm just going to give it a shake. And then we're going to add our beef broth. So this is the big one. But you can use, let me see if I'm going to use it all. Well, now I'm just going to use it all because there you go. So this is a 32-ounce container of beef broth. Beef broth, I tell you. And that's it. That's it. We're going to put this on the stove, bring it to a boil. Once it starts to boil, you're gonna turn it down to low, put the lid on it, and let it simmer for 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, it's good. Good morning, Chef Cindy. Hey, Lonnie. Hello. Hey, Nancy. I know it's something new, and sometimes we get bored with making the same thing, and so I thought, well, this is something we like. Maybe you've never had it. So again, just to recap, because this was really quick, right? Just like that. It's another good thing. Like if you work late, you have to come home, you need something really quick. This is it. So again, I used 1.5 pounds of deli roast beef. I sliced it. You don't have to, but I sliced it in narrow strips and put that in a pot. I then put 2 teaspoons of Italian blend seasonings, an entire jar of pepperoncini. You can use mild, you can use medium, you can use hot, whatever your little heart desires. They also have one that has the carrots in it. You can use that one too if you want. And then 32 ounces of beef broth. Bring it to a boil, turn it down to simmer, put the lid on it, let it cook for 30 minutes. And then when you're done, we're gonna, like I said, I got these big rolls, but you can get smaller ones. It doesn't matter. Any kind of roll that you want to use. You cut them open. You're gonna take your tongs and get your meat and good stuff out. Is the roast beef the one you cooked? No, it's from the deli. I got it from the deli. Because I just don't like that. I didn't realize Italian beef wasn't everywhere. Well, but not down south, not necessarily, right? What up, Todd? Anyway, so then we'll put that on there. I use a spoon and put some of the juice in there. If you like your soppy, you can take your top of your bread and kind of dunk it in your juice, if you like a French dip if you want. It's just too gushy for me. I don't like that. So I just spoon a little of the juice on, and then you can top it either with some shredded cheese. So this is an Italian blend. This has mozzarella, smoked provolone, romano. Oh, it does have, so it has mozzarella, provolone, romano, parmigiano, fantino, and asiago. There you go. It has all of those. Or you can just use mozzarella, you can use provolone, and you can use the shredded, or you can use slices. This will be really hot when you put it on your sandwich, but if you want your cheese a little more melted, you could always stick it under the broiler or stick it in the microwave. I have an option to toast your buns. Toast your buns if you want to. Now, what am I serving with this? I got lazy, and I'm just serving a bag salad with it. And so we'll have a salad and a sandwich, and that's dinner tonight. Isn't that awesome? And there you go. So there's our Italian beef sandwiches. I'm gonna put that over here on the stove. Okay, now, that being said, you're like, okay, are we done? That was quick. Time to turn it off. Says I should cook that tonight. It looks good. I think you should too, Kelly. Just make sure if he's gonna eat it, you get the mild pepperoncini. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you this. This, now obviously it's Polish pottery, right? Because my passion and everything for Polish pottery. This is called a fermentation crock. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, it's very tall, and you can look at the lid, you see how it's very deep, and then it has this well on the top. You see how the well is? And then the lid fits, so you can still see that there's like a finger's width all the way around the lid, right? Okay, so this is a fermentation crock. And so you can ferment, good morning, Susan. Hey, Patty. You can ferment all kinds of food. And there's a ton of supposedly health benefits from eating fermented food. You can make pickles in these things. You can ferment all kinds of vegetables, any kind of vegetables you have, which is all good. We're gonna do sauerkraut. And we're gonna do sauerkraut because sauerkraut isn't necessarily one of those things that a lot of you would have ever made before. I always bought it before I got this. Good morning, Melinda. And since I've made this, I like the sauerkraut so much better that now I don't want to buy it. I just want to make it. The only thing is when you ferment a vegetable, it's not like a day, right? And there's different time. Some people say you need to ferment your sauerkraut for 20 days or 30 days. Some people say 2 weeks. I don't like mine. Whoa. I did 3 weeks once, and I thought I was gonna be in a permanent state of pucker. Anyway, I just do 7 days. It's a week. I probably should do it differently, but that's what I do. I do a week, and for us, it's got that perfect. It's got the perfect crunch, the perfect tang, it has everything, and it's very easy. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. and then I'm gonna put this away. I'm just gonna put the lid back on it and put it back on the shelf for a week, and then next week we'll come back, next Wednesday we'll come back and we'll have sausage, sauerkraut, and potatoes. That's what we'll have for that day when we take this out. So there you go. You have that to look forward to. In a week, we're having sausage, potatoes, and sauerkraut. So, but we have to make our sauerkraut first. The easiest way to do, well, the cheapest way to do is to get a head of cabbage, because you know that's cheap. You know, you normally get that for 39 cents or something like that, cents a pound, and then cut all that up. Lazy one out. Lazy one out over cheap, and I just bought a bag of angel hair coleslaw. And so basically it's just, so you can see, it's coleslaw, but it's shredded very fine, okay? So that's it. All right, and this is, let's see, perishables, 10 ounces. It has 10 ounces in here. All right, so all you have to do, this is very easy. You're gonna go, really, that's it? I pay that much for, well, maybe you don't pay for sauerkraut. I don't know. Anyway, so we're just gonna put 10 ounces in. Well, actually, I'm gonna put more than that in there. Okay, so that's the one bag. And if you're gonna make sauerkraut, you might as well make enough of it. If you have to wait 7 days or 14 days, however long you leave it in the crock, then you need to, you know, make a bunch. You can make these in, they sell, I mean, everybody sells containers. You can do it, I think, in mason jars even. I've never done that because once I saw the fermentation crock, I was like, oh my. Okay, now I'm gonna get one more in there. So that I've got like 30, I'll have 30 ounces in here. I know you're like, wow, that's a lot. It is, but you know, cabbage, so like when we make coleslaw and you do this big, huge bag of coleslaw, right? And then you put all the stuff in it and you put it in the refrigerator, and an hour later, the mound that you had is now down to less than half, right? It shrinks down. And so that's gonna happen with this too. So it's gonna look like it's filled to the top, although I've made a big, huge mess because I don't need coleslaw in my well, because that's where the water goes. Okay, let me see if I can get the coleslaw out of there. Okay, so now, so you can see it's filled to the top, pretty much. How much do I have? Maybe 2 inches down. And so all that we put in here is cabbage. That's it. Yes, cabbage shrinks as it ferments. That's right, Vicki. All right. Now, so we put our cabbage in. That's it. We just did cabbage. You're like, okay, what else goes in this? Are we putting vinegar in here? No, because that's part of the fermentation process. It actually gets that acidity. Now, the only thing you have to put in here is some salt. Now, I've got 30 ounces, so 3 bags, but you can just do a head. And I'm gonna put a tablespoon of salt in here, okay? Am I gonna mix it all together? I'm gonna stick my hand in there in just a bit, but that could be it, right? So if that's the way you like your kraut, you can put the lid on it and pour your water in the top, and then 7 days or 14 days later, you can be done. But I'm not gonna do that. I love Bavarian kraut, Bavarian sauerkraut. And so I don't know if you know the difference, but Bavarian sauerkraut has caraway seeds in it. Now I'm gonna show you what caraway seeds, well, I'm gonna take the lid off of this. I have a shaker on there. So I'm gonna, if you can see that, well, maybe if I separate them out, you can see, okay? So almost like a celery seed, like it's a dried caraway seed. Okay, so now I'm going to, just so I've got the right measurement, I'm gonna put a tablespoon of caraway seeds. Actually, I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of caraway seeds because I love caraway seeds. All right, now, not necessary that you do this, but I just don't want all that sitting on the top. So I'm just gonna give it a little toss, not all the way to the bottom because I can't reach all the way to the bottom. Okay, and that's it. Now, it's already gone down a little bit. Now, the only other thing I like to do is kind of weight it down just a tiny little bit. But the problem is this hole is very small. It's very small. So it's kind of hard to get anything down in there to weight it down. So this is my cheat method. So these are Polish pottery, but these are coasters. But I use them for spoon rests because that way I can have 5 or 6 spoons going and nobody's touching anything. And so that's what I'm doing. So now, what is caraway? It's a seed. Caraway is a seed. Okay, so now, oh, these don't fit in there. I must have used the other ones. One moment, please. Let me see if I've got the smaller one. Yes, these. I'm sorry. It's my soy sauce bowls. That's what I'm using in there. Okay, so I just put the soy sauce bowls one on top of another because there's not enough room in there for them both. And it's not a lot of weight, but it's just enough so that as the cabbage starts to shrink, it goes down, okay? All right, now, caraway. Yes, caraway. Hey, Jackie. The seeds are usually in rye bread. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Or in pumpernickel bread. That's right. Okay, so here's my lid. I'm going to put the lid on it. And now I'm just going to take some water. And remember I told you there was that well that goes all the way around? I'm going to put water, not in my thing, not in with the cabbage, but just around the edge. Not so it overflows or anything. And that's it. That's it. That water that you've put there kind of seals the lid. No peeking. No peeking, right? It seals the lid so it doesn't come off. And then poof, that's it. You set it aside a week later or 2 weeks, give it a shot and see what you like the best. Like I said, we did it for a lot longer and it was just too powerful for us. And so I found that a week does just great. So now when I'm done with this, you can eat it straight out of here. And quite frankly, I have. But, hey Renee, so you can't eat it straight out of here. But what I normally do is heat it up. And so when we're done with this in a week, we're gonna have sausage and potatoes and sauerkraut. And I'm gonna put it all in a big baking dish. The sausage and the potatoes and the sauerkraut, and then it's gonna heat up and all those flavors are gonna marry together and it's going to be a lovely meal next Wednesday, so it'll be very exciting. So anyway, so today we, let me just get the thing off the stove. It's almost to a boil. And so I'm gonna tilt it. Oh, the smell is to die for. Okay, let me get a spoon just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so if I lift this out, see, you've got, look at that. Roast beef and pepperoncini and the beef broth and the Italian herbs. Ooh, so again, that's all it was roast beef. And I used 1.5 pounds of roast beef sliced up. I used Italian herbs, a jar of pepperoncini, and 32 ounces beef broth. That's it. It's good. Do you have to add water to the well? I never have, Donna. I'm putting this back on here. Oh, we're already down. Okay. I never have added more water because, again, I only leave it for a week. The first time when I did it for 2 or 3, then I might have. We have sauerkraut and sausages. Yumminess, yes. Never put potatoes in it. Never put potatoes in it. Oh, you've never, well, I'm not fermenting the potatoes, but when I grew up, that's how my grandmother cooked it. So, and you'll see, she put the potatoes, she made rings, right? The sauerkraut went in the middle, the sausage went around the sauerkraut, and the potatoes went on the outside. And so the sauerkraut has the most flavor, and then the sausage, and so then it all bleeds out and goes into your potatoes, and it's lovely. So there you go. All right, so we made Italian beef, and we're gonna serve that on our rolls with a little cheese and a bag salad. And then next Wednesday, we're gonna take our sauerkraut out. You gotta set your alarm to come back next Wednesday so you can see the sauerkraut. And like I said, you can make a whole bunch. Now, I know, now you have to get a crock from Rebecca. I like it a little sour, yeah. And so like I said, Donna, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know how long you leave it in. You've never eaten sauerkraut. Well, maybe you buy some first and taste it. I don't necessarily I like it heated up more, but we always have corned beef on New Year's and St. Patrick's Day, although here lately, I like it so much, we've had it before. And so I usually make 2 corned beefs, and we have corned beef one day, and then the next day, we take the corned beef and we get some Russian or Thousand Island dressing and some rye bread, and we have Reubens. And some Swiss cheese. So good, so good. Anyway, but you have to have sauerkraut to go on a Reuben. And so there you go. Sounds delicious. Yeah, give it a shot. Rebecca, we need these on the show tonight. You know what? I want to show you one other thing. Don't leave. Hold on 1 second. As I was looking through the kitchen this morning, so this actually, that I showed you, this is actually called a fermentation crock, okay? So that's what it's designed for. Now you could use it as a cookie dish or whatever, but this is actually called a fermentation crock, so that's what it's used for. However, if this is a canister, now this canister, not all the canisters, so not the Gallia canisters, they don't. But this is an Andes canister, and it too has the well right here. Now, I bought this as a canister. I've emptied it out once I noticed that it has this, right? But anyway, so it's a canister. It's just a canister, although you could cook in it. You can make beans in this. You can do whatever. But because it has this well, the Andes does, you can do the exact same thing with this, with the Andes canister, not the Gallia canisters. But, and I don't know about ceramic artist stitch, I don't know about these. But on the Andes canisters, you can use this because it's got enough of a well that you can put the water there. So that means I have 2 fermentation crocks. 2, I tell ya. Hey, Sharon, how are you? Hey, Carol, good to see you. It is a pretty pattern. I love it. I think it's called wreath or something. Anyway, so we're done. We're done. We're going to have Italian beef sandwiches tonight on Hoagie buns with some melted cheese and a bag salad, just a bag salad. And then in a week, you're going to come back and we're going to take our sauerkraut out of our fermentation crock and we're going to have sauerkraut and sausage and potatoes, and it's going to be lovely. So that's it for today. We have no music. We have no dancing. No really good stories, except that I choked to death in the middle of the night because the power went off and I still had my CPAP machine on. So other than that, I hope you have a great day from my kitchen to your kitchen. I hope your house smells lovely. Only takes 30 minutes. And I will see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Have a great day. Bye-bye.